Probably the most agonized over question in all of humankind is what comes next. What happens to us when we die? Do we go somewhere? To some other reality? Something else? Or do we just spiral off into the darkness of non-existence, of nothingness? Now, before I go diving into my thoughts on the issue, I just wanted to let you guys know we will be having a live stream based on this very topic. We'll be doing that with a lot of the videos I'm going to be making here. So if you want to be part of that live stream, and they're really a good time, make sure you're subscribed, tick the bell, turn on the notifications, all the little hoops that YouTube likes to make you jump through, just so you can be notified and be there with us, because this is a good conversation, I think, and I'm anxious to hear what you guys have to say, and it expands my horizons just listening to you guys' thoughts on things. But for me, my take on what comes next is, I don't know, just basically when it's over, it's over. I go back to wherever I was before my conception, just whatever that was. I certainly don't remember it. I don't think, is it possible for anybody, well, unless you believe in reincarnation, I don't think it's possible to remember anything preconception. So I think I just go back to whatever that was, which is probably nothing. Because I think this existence that I have here on Earth is just a really lucky stroke of coincidence. And when it's over, it's just over. To a lot of people, that's a really scary and depressing idea. But to me, it isn't. As I said, to me, it's like I'm impressed by the amazing, just incredible beating of the odds we accomplished by being here. That everything came together cosmically, perfectly to create whatever the hell this is that we're living. So I don't think it's a depressing way to look at it all. For me, that when it's over, because I look at it as we're just so lucky to ever have experienced it. Why waste it? This is pretty cool. Do you know how many things had to fall into place perfectly to create this planet that supports this life, the only life that we know? I'm just feeling like, I don't think that I'm somebody who's gotten a lot of lucky breaks, but goddamn, that was a pretty good one. Now, don't go getting a wrong impression about my beliefs. Just because I don't believe in a heaven, a hell, and, a God and a great creator, I have zero issue with people who do believe. I mean, that's, let's be honest. Things are a lot more interesting if you're right and I'm wrong. I don't have an issue with that at all. I think that belief gives a lot of people comfort. I think it helps a lot of people get through whatever the hell it is we're living here. And I think for a lot of people, it's a great thing. All the, pretty much all the people I love have faith and a belief in God and, and for them a heaven and a hell and all that. And that's great. I kind of I hope they're right, because if their belief structure is right, they've got something really, really cool waiting for them on the other side. And, obviously I would want that for the people who I love and who are important to me. It's just that I don't see it. I just think, as I said, we caught a break here. And that doesn't make me any less caring, I don't think. I don't need the threat of hell or of retribution from a divine being to want to be a decent person. I'm not all the time. I fail at it regularly. But it's not because of a lack of belief. It's just because we all got different areas to our personalities, and sometimes I'm kind of a douchebag. I'm kind of a sociopath. Sorry. I don't even have any type of issue with the Pascals Wager contingency. You guys know what Pascals Wager is. That's basically saying that, well, yeah, I'm gonna believe in God because it makes sense to do so. That's where the smart money would be. Because if God is there, I want to be able to say I believed in him and can enter his kingdom and go to heaven and whatever else the case may be. It's certainly an easy enough thing to do to believe in God to hedge my bets against a really nasty hereafter. And that's fair. My only, I get that. That's playing the percentages. And as somebody who loves to play blackjack, loves a little gambling here and there, and I'm a numbers freak, you're playing the odds. My only question with that would be if there is a deity, a grand creator, isn't that deity smart enough to see through that? Aren't you going to be in front of him at some point and he's going to go, wait a second. I know you said you're a believer, but you were wagering with Pascal, weren't you? And then you got to be like, yeah, but okay, technically, in the guidelines you laid down, I was a believer, so, come on, punch my golden ticket. Let's not be a douche about this. And I know what a lot of you are going to say. Where science falls down on this whole the Big Bang theory and that idea of creation is, well, what was there before the components that created the Big Bang? That's a fair question. Science doesn't know. But also, in fairness, you could turn that around and say to those who believe in a God, a deity created it all, what was there before that God? And typically in that case, see the people who believe, have a faith-driven belief, have that fall back to say, well, you just got to have faith. And that's true. I mean, if you're a religious sort, that's what you're basing everything on is faith. But for somebody like me who believes that, as I said, this was just a very complex coming together of the cosmos that allowed all this, that's kind of a cop-out for us. Because it's like, well, then I could just say I just have faith in the nothingness that was before the Big Bang. Faith just is, it's the get out of jail free card. But again, I get it. I get it because religion is based on faith. But it is interesting when it's brought up, well, what came before then? Because that's where I think, and I think this a lot, and I'd like to know what you guys think about this, because it was in prior conversations and streams that really got me going down this path. Okay, if you're going to say what came before the Big Bang, that starts lending itself to the idea that this all might just be a simulation or somebody's science project or something, right? That would explain what came before the Big Bang. What came before the Big Bang was minds much greater than ours creating all of this. That gets into the area that it gets difficult to wrap your brain around when you go that far. But what if we are a simulation? What if we are a science project? I hope we at least are like an A, at least an A- science project. This, you know what this makes me think too? What are we kind of like Cartman's Sea People? You guys remember that episode?
Look, there's a library and a temple and they think I'm God. Yes!
Yeah, though, of course, Eric Cartman as an all-powerful deity would probably be a bit of a concern. I'm not sure anybody gets a happily ever after in that case. But boy, that's interesting. That's interesting to think about. If all of this came from something much, much grander and greater that we would never be able to wrap our little human brains around. But I don't want to go too far off into those thoughts yet, just because we're going to cover alternate theories like that in future videos and live streams. So there's so much to talk about within the framework of, what is all this and what happens when what we know ends, that you want to take them bit by bit and devote individual videos, individual live streams to all those separate ideas and theories. That's why in the comments section here and in the upcoming stream, make sure and hit me with whatever your ideas are, because there's a really good chance we'll end up doing a whole series just on whatever your thought process is, or however you believe things came to be and what's in store for us. But here is what to me is the best part. No matter what you believe, there's no real reason to fear death if you think about it. And I know I think death is typically the second most feared thing that people see in their lives after, or most commonly feared thing after public speaking. But when you have no shame at all and no self-respect, as do I, you don't mind public speaking because you don't care how much of an ass of yourself you make. But there's no reason to be afraid of death, because if you believe like I do, that we just go back to nothingness, it's like, you look at it, I think you would tend to look at it how I do. Enjoy it. Enjoy whatever this is for as long as you can, because it's just going to end and then it'll be nothing again. And if you do have a belief and a faith in a God or a heaven and hell or whatever the case may be, you're looking at something potentially grand on the other side, magnificent on the other side. So you certainly shouldn't fear death. I guess the only ones that leave out are the ones that have a belief and also believe they're going to hell. But if I'm not mistaken, in most every religion, if they believe in a hell or a punishment area after death, there are things you can do while living here, right, to circumvent that, to skirt out of the way. Yeah, I would suggest start doing those things, because otherwise there's no reason to fear death. And again, it's not what I believe, but I hope those of you that think there is a great grand beyond for everyone, I hope you're right. Even if I don't get to be a part of it because of my beliefs, I hope you're right, because I hope you guys get to enjoy it. Think about me every once in a while, pop open a cold one or something on my behalf while you're enjoying it and I'm busy either being nothing or, in hell. But in closing, just let me say, listen, no matter what your beliefs, do your best to squeeze all the best out of life, because from a cosmic sense, it's the blink of an eye. Our lifetimes are that, not faster than that. So enjoy it. I know that life sucks a lot of the time. It does for all of us. But do your best to try and look beyond the suck and squeeze every little bit of fun and enjoyment you can get out of life. That's why I tend to stay a pretty happy person. I get depressed like everybody else. I have bad days. But for the most part, I stay pretty positive because it's just too short not to. I want to enjoy whatever I can while I'm here for whatever reason I happen to be here. And no, with the personality I've developed, I think no matter why we're here, the fact that I am allowed to continue to be here and have been allowed to continue to be here for this long seems that either nature or God or whoever is very forgiving, because I'm kind of a goofball and kind of a dick. So the fact that I've been allowed to ride this ride with you guys for this long, it's pretty cool. Enjoy it.